when we're in a pre-recession, that just means that we have a pandemic that's going on right now. And so it's shooting up the unemployment rates. And because of that, the market becomes unstable. Businesses are not really being as lucrative as they once were. And so what that causes is sort of, you see the stock markets sort of dwindling because you don't have the people buying. So the Apple market, the Apple stock market, and Nike and all of those, they get a lot of money because we as customers, we are buying. And so we put money in their pockets. That sort of goes back to when people talk about the power of the dollar. So the more you spend on those things that you want or you need, the better it is in the economy, the more the stock market increases. And so in a pre-recession, what we're seeing a lot of times is what impact is being in this sort of businesses being shut down, only purchasing what you need and not what you want, cutting back on the non-essentials. How is that going to impact the economy later? And that's why you see the stimulus checks coming out, and you see them saying, you know, go out and buy stuff, put this in the economy, so that way the economy can continue to boost itself and everything kinds of, the world goes round, right? That's kind of what the goal is. But while we're in this pre-recession and getting ready to gear into a recession, we never know how long that lasts. So the last great recession was 2008, and we went through 2009, and we had to get the companies got the bailout. We got some checks. I remember getting a check or something like that, and then we had to pay taxes on it later. So how do we live right now so that we're starting to prepare for what the recession looks like and however long that goes, and then we're successful once we get back booming again? That's why I want to talk about investments today. So if you're in a sort of investment type of situation, I would say the first thing you want to think of is, a lot of people think, oh, wow, I want to get into the stock market because it's easy money. I can tell you that I made the mistake a couple weeks ago of looking at my stocks, and I was like, oh, why did I do that? I didn't really feel like it was easy money because I lost the money, right? So it's easy money until you lose money. But what we need to remember is that you should average about 8% of gains in the stock market. But there are times when we may take a 40% hit. Okay. And there's times when we're going to see more of a 20% gain. We're going to see those gains. But because of that, we have to trust that the market will correct itself. So what do you do with current stocks? Well, if you currently have some stocks that's going on right now, don't be afraid to sort of scale back on those investments if you have debt and your income is shaky right now, right? You're thinking to yourself, I'm not quite sure what's happening with my job. They just extended us another 30 days. I don't know if it's going to go, or through the end of the month, I don't know if it's going to go past that. Really try to scale back on those investments if you have debt and your income is shaky. But if you don't, or even if you do, I tell you, with your current stocks, whatever you have, whether you are in debt and not shaky, however way it goes, you want to make sure you don't sell right now. Now is not time to sell, because the market, like I said, will correct. So we just have to ride this out. That means you want to keep what you have, okay? And when I say corrections will be made, that correction means at some point it balances. So you'll find yourself losing and then it'll rise again. You lose, you raise, and that's just kind of how it works. So we just got to kind of ride the wave. Another thing you want to do with your current stocks is reallocate your portfolio. And I want to take my time and talk about what this means for you, right? It's sort of rebalancing what you already have. It's a restructuring, if you will. So you want to safeguard to prevent yourself from losing money, and you want to reallocate to safer stocks. You might find that being like a utility stock, because that's a necessity, right? We all need lights, we all need gas, people still paying that bill. So if you have a GE stock or something like that, where it's a utility stock, a power company, a water company, people are still shopping at Myers and Kroger and Dollar Tree. Those are the kind of stocks you can kind of reallocate to. You're not really necessarily buying and selling, but there is, because you don't want to do any trading, you don't want to do, you don't want to do any real selling, because that's going to provide you with a loss at this point, especially if it's going to boost itself back up. Because what happens when the economy corrects itself, that same stock that you sold, where we have had this sort of imbalance due to the drop in what it's worth, you're going to probably spend more when you try to go back and buy it later. So just trust that the return on investment is coming. Now would probably be not the best time to start investing in some luxury goods, you know, like Apple products, though I do understand that a new Apple 12 is coming out. So I actually have that stock, and I'm excited every time something new happens with Apple because everybody run out and it's a good day. But right now, I would say you want to shy away from some of those luxury stocks. When it comes down to investments, you want to look at the funds. So I'm going to talk a little bit about retirement on the next slide, but you want to look at where that money is in your current stocks, and you want to think about that. Okay, so let's go back to that previous slide. I almost forgot to talk about micro investments. You can also consider micro investments. So your income's a little bit shaky. You're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm not quite sure. I want to kind of get into it. My first recommendation would be look at what your income level is and your debt before you try to go out and just like hop on in there. But I don't think that you shouldn't be able to do something, right? So an option for beginners who are looking at, you got a little bit of money to invest. You're like, listen, I got a good $5, $20, $50. You can consider micro investments. Those have low startup costs and fees. An example of this micro investment would be like Acorns, Robinhood. I think I posted something about Robinhood the other day. I love Acorns. I have both of them. But those are two types of micro investments. Robinhood right now, you can go in, you can download Robinhood. It's an app on your phone. You can set up your account for $5 if you want, and you would instantly get one free stock. And every time you refer somebody and they use your code, they get a free stock, you get a free stock. So all I'm saying is don't leave money on the table. That's a free stock for you. So just go ahead and, you know, I'm giving this to you for free. So go get this free stock because that's one stock that you didn't have yesterday. Okay. And so when the economy gets back to booming, you might be able to see that, oh, wow, this money is kind of coming. And once you get yourself in that good financial piece, you can start adding to that stock and getting more. But it's just a good way to kind of get in there. So we're going to talk a little bit about retirement plans, which is like your 401k, your IRA or IRA, your 457s, even 529s, which deals with the education piece for your, if you want to save for college savings. When we're looking at retirement plans, one thing that I always like people to know is if you have one, your company is probably offering like this matching contribution, right? That's free money. And you know, I'm all about the free coins. So don't leave any free coins on the table. Don't do it to yourself. You want to make sure that if they say you contribute 3%, we'll match you and give you 3, give them the 3. And this is one of the reasons why when I talk about stock, you actually, if you have a retirement plan, you should have some stock, right? It's in that retirement plan that you have. And so let that be the first time you pay yourself. Retirement plans is part of the pay yourself first concept, right? Now we're supposed to pay our tithes, pay them tithes. Now that's a bill. But I'm saying make sure that you pay yourself. And by doing that, you put money in that retirement plan. Because it's nothing sadder than seeing people in a different stock market with Apple and all these things, but they don't have a plan to retire on. You know, that will hurt my feelings for y'all. So in this season, when we're in a pre-recession, there are people who are probably putting 10% in there, but the employer matching only says you got to give 3. What I want you to do is because we need more cash on hand right now. We got to have that good old cash in our pockets at this moment in the pre-recession. Is contact your company, contact that retirement company, say, hey, you guys, what's the minimum percent? They may say 3. Great. I'm giving 10. Go ahead and put me down to 3. And then take that extra money that you were originally putting into that and invest it into something else if you can, like your emergency savings fund or your cash savings account, that kind of thing. So one thing to remember is do not take a loan out of your 401. None of these retirement plans right now, I know right now the government said you can take out a loan up to $100,000 with no penalty. Do not do it. We need our retirement. I do not want anybody working until they're 80, 90 years old. Sometimes you have to, maybe you love your job, but if you want to have the choice to retire and truly retire and have some money, make that happen. But I want you to remember, if you have a retirement plan, and you're kind of freaking out, you're looking at your money, it's looking a little funny. What you want to do is determine that there are different types of funds that you have. So for somebody like the pastor, I can't hear you. What is he saying?
Nothing. I'm sorry.
Oh, the pastor, let's say, let's just give him an age. Let's say he's 43. Okay. Um, let's go with that. He may be 10 years from retirement, 20 years from retirement. It's really to do with when you plan on retiring. So let's say the pastor wants to retire by 60. So he's got quite a bit of time. He's got over 10 years, left in the market right now. What he would probably want to do, depending on his income, his debts, and all that, is we are probably in a target fund. I'm 40, so I know I'm in a target fund. He's probably there in 40, probably in a target fund. And your target date fund is by your age. So let's say you plan on retiring by 65. Your target date fund will start making it more conservative as you invest, as you get closer and closer to that retirement age that you set in your target date fund. So it'll say like 2022. If you are someone who's probably going to retire fairly soon, then having a 401 or a pension plan, any of those things that has you 100% in your stock market is probably not the best idea, but you do want to have some stock. Same thing about if it's fixed income fund, which are more like bond funds. It's fixed income that's sort of, it's securities, such as like your treasury corporate bonds, your sort of like municipal funds, those kinds of things as an example of a fixed fund. So you want to look at your retirement scenario and see what you're investing in. The young adults, those young college graduates, I remember that age, it was fun times. They're probably 90 to 100% stocks right now. If they have a 401k, they're going aggressive. So they're probably all in with their retirement stock. This may be a good time to kind of reallocate some funds, contact the company or your benefits department to look at your risk tolerance level. That's what you want to ask. You want to say, what's my risk tolerance level? So in the end, if you have an emergency savings fund, you've got no credit card debt, your job is secure, then you can invest heavily into the market. You can invest more. You want to buy the stocks at these very low prices. You want to increase your money in your 401k, but that's if you have 10 plus years left to retirement. If you are young and you can say, listen, I got 90 to 100% of stocks in the market. I would say for those youngsters, you may want to diversify that portfolio so that you don't 100% in. You want to put it in, part of it in a target fund, part of it in a fixed income fund. But again, part of it into that student loan that you may have. We'll talk a little bit about that if you have that. But there is a balance in terms of how you're going to pay this monies investments that would be lucrative for you once we get out of this pre-recession, and once we get out of the recession and we get back to booming. Okay. So then the next thing I want to do is I want to let you guys know, oftentimes we think that when it comes to financial planners or advisors, a lot of people like, I can't afford that. I don't have the money for a financial planner. I don't have the money for a financial advisor. I'm here to tell you that you do. Right now, there is FPA, which is the Financial Planner Association. There are financial planners who have signed up for to offer free, no strings attached financial planning for people who are in undeserved communities right now. Undeserved individuals, should I say. This financial guidance with these financial planners, they're basically making themselves available at no cost to you. And so there's certain qualifiers, such as, if you have an illness, if you have some income issues, which I think a lot of people are having right now, doing it because they have to stay home during this pandemic, but it is worth a check. So I want to give you guys the the website to visit for this pro bono financial planning. These are certified financial planners who are actually members of the Financial Planner Association, FPA, and they're making themselves available to help you for free. So you want to take advantage of these, of this short-term assistance while it's free. The website is 1FPA, and that's, you spell out the number 1, F as in Frank, P as in Paul, A as in Apple.org/pro bono planning. You want to make sure that you go to that website And you will notice there are no certified financial planners in Michigan that has volunteered their time. It's okay. You can go to any state you so choose. You do not have to have a financial planner that is in your state. They will help you virtually. I actually have a certified financial planner through them. I had a virtual call with them on last night, dealing with some of my own restructuring as well. So take advantage, full advantage of that resource. So I'm going to go right into Q&A. One of the reminders, and we talked about it last week, is don't panic. When you panic, you make rash decisions. You want to just try to do your best to relax. I know it is very, very hard when it's unknown on what to do. But last week I was asked about gold. And so this actually goes back to my point that I made about retirement and investments, right? And I didn't quite get to the debt yet. But when it comes to retirement and investments, if you have an emergency fund, in the emergency savings fund, you're supposed to have $1,000 in your emergency savings fund. For your cash savings, you're supposed to have 3 to 6 months saved in your cash savings. And that is for such a time as this, right? Last year, I was like, do this challenge, get some money, save anything. Okay, now is the time to start. You may need it. So you want to have an emergency savings fund. You want to have cash savings. So if you have that and you got no credit card debt, your job is secure, your retirement account is popping, you got all the money in there, it's looking great, then you can feel free to diversify your portfolio with gold. This is the same guidance that I'm giving you for any investments at this point, right? Meaning you can start investing. It is a personal choice, but you want to work with a financial advisor, a financial planner, or a financial coach to determine if this investment is best for you. And I'm going to tell you guys, there are different types of gold. And so when I was asked the question, what do I think about gold? I had plenty of questions like, is the gold bars? Is it gold stock? Like, what kind of gold are we talking? Because it's really contingent upon the individual if they want to invest in gold. A lot of it also deals with like age, or are they already in retirement? Are they already kind of on this fixed income? Fixed income matters, just like the type of gold you invest in. So somebody who may be in a retirement already, invested in gold bars may not be that beneficial to them financially, because it might be a risk. You know what I mean? And so looking at the risk tolerance is important. And that is best done with a financial advisor or a financial planner, because it is a personal decision and it is contingent upon what your money looks like. There are some financial planners who may say, no, you don't have to do what your financial planner tell you to do. You can do whatever you want. But you want to allow the opportunity with people who are actually certified in this area, who are trained in this area, to give you the guidance, and then you pray on it, think on it, whatever you need to do to determine what is best for you. That applies to issues with like deciding to invest in cryptocurrency, like the Bitcoins and all of these other monies that are coming in. I'm often asked my personal opinion on it, and I always choose not to share it. I can tell you what may work for me. Keep in mind, I live on 20% of my money, and I invest and save 80. So I'm already living scarcely. And because of that, how I choose to invest my money is this sort of well thought out plan with my planner, with my advisor actually. And so I really encourage everybody, whether you live on 90 and only have 10, that you really rely on a certified person who can give you the guidance that works for your current financial situation, and not based on what works best for them, because what works for me may not work for you.
Question: if you're trying to buy a house, would it be appropriate to take money out of the bank for an emergency fund?
Gosh, so many questions that I would ask to that. See, this is the coach in me and not the general person. So if you're trying to buy a house, you never touch your emergency savings fund for a house that you're trying to buy. If I was coaching somebody, and I was being completely honest and very blunt, if you have to take money out of your emergency savings to put towards a house that you're trying to buy, you can't afford it. So that's one of the things you gotta be like, I don't got it. You just gotta gonna keep on saving. And the reason that is because your emergency savings fund is for what happens if a repair needs to be made on your house, on your car? It's those type of emergencies that come up that you didn't plan for. That's the purpose of emergency fund. Your cash savings is something else. You want to create a different savings fund. So like I have a travel club. I travel, y'all know I travel a lot. I like to get it in. So I have a travel club. I save for that. And if it's too much, if it's outside of that travel club, I ain't got it. I can't afford it. So you want to have fun for that. So like I just was, I was in London living my best life, in Amsterdam living my best life. I didn't pay for that. It was free. So I was like, listen, I ain't got it. And people was like, oh, I got you. Here you go. Well, thank y'all. And so sometimes you just got to be like, you don't got it. People will bless you. I'm just saying, people might be like, oh, I wish you really did have it. And they might bless you. Or you just have to sit at home, and that's okay too. It's cold anyway. So another thing to think about when you're going to save money for like your down payment or to purchase, Dave Ramsey will say, pay that whole house off, right? You're not supposed to have a mortgage. That might work for Dave Ramsey's financial situation. But for me, it's beneficial for me to have a mortgage because it's a tax deduction that I need. So each person's financial situation may shift. But whatever you do, if you're saving for that down payment, you want to have an actual fund allocated to that actual, that actual purchase. So if I'm going to purchase a car, I have a car fund. If I'm going to purchase a house, I have a down payment for my house fund. You want to have these different kinds of what we call in the financial world buckets of money. And that's just one of your buckets. So that's my answer to that. Any other questions?
Can you just reiterate one point in a pre-recession, or whatever you want to call it? You said you want to hang on to your cash reserve. Did I hear you correctly?
That's right.
Okay.
You want to hang on to your cash reserves and you want to build it. You want to build it up because now this does not mean you're going to run to the credit union or your bank and take out all the money. And you just want to like put it under your mattress. Like you don't want that. I'm not saying doing that now. I'm saying you want to make sure that you have more cash on hand than you had before this pre-recession. So before March hit us and then we all had to be at home with the stay safe stuff, you want to make sure that you are building your cash savings. Okay. And so if you don't have a lot in cash savings, this is a good time to start doing so. And that's why I posted some tips about saving on the car insurance, because that's one way of saving money. You can take that money and apply it somewhere else, whether that's putting it in your cash savings or whatever extra coins that you have. You want to start saving that. Now with Acorns, that's a way of micro investments. And what they do is they round up your money that you spend. So let's say you go to the store, you spend $1.49. It will round it up to the nearest dollar. And those coins will then be deposited into an account. And it'll show you sort of a scale. It gives you like a little scale to say, okay, this is how much you will save towards retirement by this age. You put in what age you plan on retirement. And if you continue to invest change and extra money, it'll show you like how you're going to invest additional money that way. So that's one way of saving all the change you have into this sort of account, or you can, so it's like just a different type of bucket, but that money is also invested. So they take those coins, it multiplies really quickly, and then they invest it in the stock market.
Okay.
We have another question. Mm-hmm. If you are paying off a loan from 401k or 403b, and you now have the cash to pay off the balance, should you keep making the monthly payment or pay off the outstanding balance?
Right now you want to continue. Now this also depends on your finances, right? If you got your emergency savings fund, you got your cash savings, you got no credit card debt, your job is secure, your retirement account is popping, okay? You got all that happening. Then you want to continue, go ahead and pay that thing, pay it off. But quite frankly, if it was me, but again, remember, I only live on 20%. So as far as I'm concerned, 80% don't exist. I just only got this little 20%. Then I would continue to make my payments. Once we get back in the economy and it gets back booming again, I'm gonna go ahead and pay that thing off, right? And then I'll be done with it. I'll just keep saving it so I have cash at hand. So, but it depends on your financial situation. If you say, listen, everything's popping on where I'm supposed to be, I don't feel shaky whatsoever, and my money is probably not going to be funding in 6 months, then go right on ahead and pay that off. But if that's not you, and you've got some student loan debt, you know what I mean, that you could be paying off, because one thing I didn't get to is, if you've got student loan debt and you're like enjoying this 6 months, like this free 6 months that we're getting right now through September, you got no interest, you got no payments, now is the best time. If all of this stuff applies where everything's going great for you, now is the best time to put money in that student loan, because 100% of what you're paying is going to that principal. You're paying nothing on interest, right? And so now is the best time under those federal loans that's extended to say, ooh, I want that 100% to go. Because if anybody is paying back their student loans like I am, and you're seeing you're paying this minimum payment, you're like, geez, I didn't even put a dent in that. You can put a dent in it now by going ahead and putting that extra money towards those loans and trying to get yourself out of that student loan debt. And so I would see that as more of a benefit than the 401. But again, it's contingent upon your individual situation.
Well, we had recommended Robinhood a couple of weeks ago on the live stream, and so we've been sitting here while you're talking. We got these text messages that the stock is up. You understands me? So me and Pastor T been having this little competition on the stock on the hood. You understand? So we sitting here having a good time on the free. So I think one of the things that we want to continue with is this discussion with precious minerals, or like gold and silver, right? Because gold, when I looked at it weeks and weeks ago, it was up 11% over 2018 or 19 already, and we know gold has continued to be, and so the other thing that we need to probably, if you could share next week the percentage of your budget, what percentage should go towards house, what percentage should go towards car, what percentage should go towards grocery. I think some people are asking for that practical. If I'm making 34,000, how do I break that up? Single mom, single dad. If I'm making 500,000, how do I, that's a different kind of situation, but it may not be, dependent upon the debt, right? So, how much you make doesn't necessarily mean that you're free. So we need to really lay that out. And if you have that, that'd be great to share. And then we could actually start asking people to, be a little bit more accountable, because we can't do ministry if people are broke. If people can't take care of their basic needs, then I, as a pastor, I don't feel comfortable asking for an offering. It's like I need to be doing for you. I need to be out here working and helping you out, versus standing up there asking the church need to help other people. So this is the one reason why we're having this, is because we want our people to be financially stable so that you can be obedient. One of the worst things is to have a desire to do something but not have the means to do it. And so this is an issue of stewardship. That word stewardship is where we get the word economy. So the word economics, when you take economics, the word economy came from the scripture. So it literally means the manager of the house. And so when the Bible uses the word steward, it's talking about managing the resources that the master gives you, and understanding the economy of the house. And so we will continue this conversation next week. And I want you to add also, some people really, really honestly do not know, and this is not a condemnation point, because they don't know how money actually works. That is a big deal. They really don't. They think that the government actually has money. And so they don't realize that we are the payroll for the government. The government don't have a job. So when this $2 trillion, that's our money. You know what I'm saying? We're going to end up paying that money. I mean, they don't fully understand. It just blows my mind how many Americans actually think that the United States owns those dollar bills, and they don't. So if you don't understand how money works, you're not in the game, and you're not going to make smart choices. So we do need to have a how money works, kind of thing, as we develop this continued conversation. And I think it would be beneficial for all of us. You know, some of us know more than others. And so we need to pull our understanding together and really have a conversation around our money. And so I want to thank you for your time today. We are out of time, but this has been great time. We're doing all we can to get the information in your hands. So, Sherri, any final comments?
No. But if anybody have any other questions, they can feel free to text them over, and I'll address them next week.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And you have a wonderful, wonderful, whatever night. What night is this? Thursday. You have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right. God bless you.